just wanted to give a little bit of an explanation. If you remember Brad Parscale, President Trump's campaign manager for most of the campaign, he was removed back this summer. I think it was in July. Maybe it was June, but anyway, June or July. He was removed as the campaign manager. It was July, replaced by Bill Stipin. And if you remember, what he did was he was talking about that Tulsa, Oklahoma rally and that they were going to have 1 million people there. And the funny thing was, if you run the greater Tulsa metro area, there's only about 500,000 total people in that area. And now most of the rest of Oklahoma is not nearly as populous as that. So there were about 500,000 people in the greater Tulsa area. So even if every one of them came, I mean, it's hard to imagine, and you got to be sure you wouldn't get everybody, right? You wouldn't have every single person. It's hard to imagine that there would have been 1 million takers for the rally. So it's almost just like he kind of lost his way a little bit. He was excited. Yeah, they did have 1 million requests probably, although apparently a lot of them were from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's supporters, and they were done to kind of spoof Trump, to make him look bad, to have not a lot of people show up. Well, poor Brad Parscale actually, Sunday afternoon, so just yesterday, in Fort Lauderdale, he was in his home and apparently had barricaded himself in his home with a firearm, and he was borderline suicidal, if not suicidal. His wife basically contacted the authorities and wound up having him put into a psychiatric institution for a short period, which is called, we know in the state of Florida, is called Baker acting. So, I always liked Brad Parscale. I mean, I really, I thought he was a very interesting guy. I thought he had a lot of energy. He developed Trump's new media strategy. And, you have to say, overall, that was very well executed during the last election because President Trump was a model of efficiency. What he did using Facebook and Twitter and other social media and new media resources, was really impressive. He really ran a shoestring campaign, did very well, defeated somebody who everybody thought was for sure going to win. That was Hillary Clinton. And I think a lot of that is thanks to Brad Parscale's work. So, we like Brad Parscale. Our thoughts will be with him. I'm sure he'll be fine. Obviously, there's a lot of stress in these political campaigns. You can't even imagine the level of stress these people are under. And, it must be, it's got to be tough to have been taken down off of being the head of the campaign.
Well, it's interesting because the Trump campaign spokesman, Tim Murtaugh, said that we love him. He's a part of our family. And he kind of then went on to say the disgusting personal attacks from Democrats and disgruntled rhinos have gone too far. They should be ashamed of themselves. What this also says to me and reminds me, when you are part of the Trump team, you are such a lightning rod. And it is a kind of incredible when you think about how Trump manages the detractors and the people who go after him. And then you have a regular person, I say regular person just because he's not the president of the United States, dealing with this kind of stress. You realize how stressful it is to have that kind of antagonistic behavior directed at you all the time. It's
got to be unimaginably stressful. Mm-hmm. And, we saw some of that when what was done to Brett Kavanaugh a couple of years ago, during his confirmation hearings, the amount of pressure that was put on him. And, he was already a public figure to a degree. He was a judge. Obviously had been a lawyer before that, used to some high-pressure situations. But, I mean, he was cracking up on the witness stand, when he was going through that Senate confirmation hearing. And you just have to imagine the amount of stress on these folks. They're really not ready for it. They don't have the many years that President Trump has in media. They don't have President Trump's philosophy and personality. I mean, a lot of people can't do it. Look, Joe Biden can't hack it. He can't take criticism of his son, right? He can't take criticism of Hunter. He wants to fight people. He wants to call him fat. He wants to do push-up contests with him. He wants to just tell him you can't even ask about that. Nobody's looked at that and said that, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.